Hi friends, welcome back. Today we are making Elysium by Roja Parfums. I have a few formulas for this juice and all of them are very similar, so I have no hesitation about posting this one. This was one that I did not purchase. It's been floating around, or versions of it have been floating around online. I have smelled this, the real juice, so we'll have a good comparison as to is it close or not? It's an amazing juice. If you haven't tried the fragrance, might be worth it. It's very good. This fragrance was released in 2017. Again, it's said to have been perfumed by Raja Dove. Does he create all of these bangers? I don't know. If he does, he's a genius. And he runs a company full-time, a luxury company full-time. The dude must be super efficient. But that said, released in 2017. If we look at the fragrance breakdown at the pyramid, most of this are in base notes. 77% are in materials that last over 100 hours. At least that's how I have classified base notes. Anything over 100 hours gets put in that bottom tier. The core of this fragrance, or the backbone of this fragrance, is an accord of 4 materials. There's 65% of the concentrate is in Ambroxan, Helvetolide, Hedione, and Isobornyl Super. And that is what we're going to start with. We're going to fill this up. The batch I'm making today will be roughly 8.5 grams. The concentrate will be at roughly 20%. So let's get this started. We're just going to start with this main accord. I want to smell what this is like. So let's start with our Helvetolide. Helvetolide is a wonderful musk. It's strong. It's clean. It's a touch metallic. It is inoffensive, but it definitely supports the fragrance. Offers some good support. Okay. One down. We are on our way. Next up, Isobornyl Super. Isobornyl Super, a material more in the background than Helvetolide, helping to provide a supporting structure, a base upon which to build. It certainly helps to blend materials together, helps tie things together, and it does. It has a nice woody, dry, ambery smell to it. Next up, let's do our Hedione. I'm using Hedione HC here. Now, the 2 materials I just used were at 100% concentration. They're neat. The Hedione HC I'm using is at 50%, and then the Ambrox that I'll use is at 10%. And actually everything after that will be at 10% or 1%, but let's add in our Hedione HC. This stuff throws from the bottle. I open it up and I can immediately smell it. It's very diffusive. Okay. Wonderful. Last but not least, Ambrox. Now I hope I have enough. I might have to mix my Ambroxans, which is maybe a no-no. I don't want to make a fresh dilution, but I've got Ambroxan from Cow here. I need 2 yeah, I'm gonna have to blend it. Gonna have to use more than one kind of Ambrox. I just don't want to make an extra dilution. Forgive me. So Ambroxan will move to the side. I still need I still need 0.8 grams at a 10% dilution. So I've got some fresh Ambrox Super here from Firmenich. So let's use Ambrox Super. Okay, perfect. Perfect. I will take it. I'm going to give this a shake and then I'm going to give it a dip. Now I would imagine this would be just a little bit tougher to smell, or it would take more time to dry out on the scent strip because it's such a high concentration. I've noticed that sometimes when I get neat materials on a scent strip, just I need a pen. It reacts differently. It jumps off the strip differently than when I have it diluted in ethanol. So we'll just do a little bit here. And we're going to put our base, number 1. All right. Where do we go from here? Why don't we continue with our bottom notes, our base notes, our woods, and our musks? Let's start there. Let's continue with our musks. There are 2 more, Ambrettolide and Cashmeran, and these are very different musks. Ambrettolide is softer, warmer, has a smell of ambrette, believe it or not. I would say it's clean. It's not very it's not an animalic musk. With musks, for some reason, I think in terms of colors, or at least the color gold, is it golden or not? A lot of musks and ambers have a golden hue in my mind. So often I'm thinking in terms of music, like what's the tone of this? What's the pitch? What's the timbre? But with musks and ambers, I'm thinking of gold color. Ambrettolide is more gold in my nose. Cashmeran, this doesn't last as long. It's more of a mid to top note. It's strong, very strong, as far as a musk is concerned. And in this batch, we need very little. In fact, that's enough. Cashmeran's much more metallic, zingy, sharp, edgy in the nose. And I'm hoping it'll help push out and help the formula project. Okay. While we're in our woods and ambers, we've got Elemi. Now, Elemi is a woody, terpenic, resinous smell, and there's just a breath in here. There is just a breath. Here we go. Get that out of the way. Okay. Probably should have saved Elemi with the pink pepper. I think the terpenic quality of those materials should have gone together. Let's do our vetiver. No. I'm going to save vetiver because I'm going to use vetiver neat. There's a fair bit of vetiver in here, of Haitian vetiver. So let's start with our Boisiris. Boisiris, I believe, is a heavy molecule. It's in large amounts in creeds, oud, royal oud. And this is nice. It's woody. It's a little bit ambery. It's a little bit violety. And there's not much in here. Not much. I would imagine this just helps give some color to the woody accord. Next up, cedar leaf. Whew. Thujonic. Or is it thujonic? Same amount of cedar leaf as Boisiris. Probably 1.5 drops. I'm almost at 2/100ths of a gram at a 10% dilution in this particular batch. Note, the numbers I'm saying right now differ than what you see in the episode notes as far as the formula that is written down. Remember, the formula that I post is the starting point. You then use that formula, do some math to adjust for your desired batch size and your desired concentrate. Next up, let's do our Cypriol. I like Cypriol because it has a woody, leathery, tea-like quality. Almost a transparent aquatic vibe to the leathery wood. It's wonderful. And Cypriol Heart. When I smell Cypriol Heart, I get a lot of vetiver. It smells like vetiver, which is interesting. Very interesting. Next up, we have Patchouli Heart SFE from Firmenich. If you don't have Patchouli Heart, don't sweat it. Just use patchouli. If you got Patchouli Light, use Patchouli Light. If you don't have patchouli, you can use Clearwood. You can use Patchoulol. Just Patchoulol. I think I'm saying that correctly. But don't sweat it if you don't have everything exactly, exactly what it's supposed to be in the formula. You will do just fine with patchouli. Okay. Last up, vetiver. Now this stuff is thick. It's pretty thick. I probably should have added this to that core. 8% of the concentrate is in Haitian vetiver. That means if we were to add this to the Ambrox, Helvetolide, Hedione, and IsoE Super, 72% of the concentrate would be accounted for in these 5 materials. I think I dropped the ball on this one. I apologize. But let's add it now. I don't need much. Do not need much. And it's going to get all sticky inside of the pipette. But that's okay. It'll slowly come out. Okay, done. Let's give this a shake. And we'll give it a dip. We'll call this musk and wood. All right, 2 down. Let us continue. We're going to save the citrus for last. There's a substantial amount of citrus in here. There's also a fair bit of aromatic notes. So let's do this. Let's do our aromatic, and then we'll do our floral. But I want to keep the linalool in the aromatic space. Okay. Ethyl Linalool, and I'll go in florals. Okay. So let's start with our Dihydromyrcenol. Of course, it's a men's freshie. You gotta have a little Dihydromyrcenol. This stuff is good. It's green, it's fresh, it is also metallic. It gives a nice pop to your fragrance. In large quantities, it is the, in large quantities, it's basically like the freshies, the men's freshies in the 90s, all the sport fragrances. Okay, then next we have thymol. Now perhaps there was just thyme in this, but it was in such a small amount that the trace amounts of the other aroma chemicals inside of thyme didn't make it on the GCMS analysis. Perhaps that's the case, because this thymol I'm using here is at 1%. And there's only about a drop and a half. There's just under 2/100ths of a gram in this formula. So not much thymol. Now, there's a fair bit of Linalyl Acetate and Linalool. About 7% of the concentrate are in these two. So again, if we take the five materials that make up that 72% core, if we just added 2 more materials, all of a sudden we are up to, what did I say? That was 5, 6, 7. We're up to 79% of the concentrate is just in 7 materials. I've found that most, let's do our Linalool. I found that most fragrances, a majority of the fragrances function in this way. It follows the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. 80% of your concentrate is in 20% of the materials. Let's do our Linalool first. This is at a 10% dilution. I'm looking at 2.5 tenths of a gram. Now Linalool is nice, inoffensive. It is metallic, but it's also fresh and floral, and almost has a sweetness lurking behind it. I shouldn't say lurking, hiding. Now Linalyl Acetate, yeah, more, a little darker metallic, a little more on the herbal side, the aromatic side, whereas Linalool is, to my nose, on the more on the floral side. Linalyl Acetate is in things like lavender. It's also in bergamot. It's in a lot of stuff. It's in neroli, orange flower, it's in petitgrain. All right. So we've got our aromatics. Let me shake. Aromatic number 3, and let's dip. Occasionally I'll write it down and then I forget to actually do the dip. When I dip, you dip, we dip. There we go. Okay, next up, we're going to move on to the florals, particularly the red florals. And while we're doing the red florals, we are going to add the fruity notes. First up, Carbinol Muguet. Oh, there's just a breath of Carbinol Muguet. It's a little bit rosy. It's very delicate. Also, in the direction of Lily of the Valley. It's like got a fresh lightness to it. All right. Carbinol Muguet is done. Next, Citronellal Acetate. Just a little of this. Other than the Ethyl Linalool and the Manzanate we're going to put in, there's trace amounts of these like red floral notes. It's just not much. Now that said, these rosy floral notes can be very strong. For example, when you're using rose in a fragrance, or citronellal, geranyl. Phenylethyl alcohol is a part of the rose accord, but it's less strong. But citronellal, geranyl, they're strong. They really project, or they can be heavy. Ethyl linalool. Those materials can be strong, so you have to dose them carefully, or they can overtake your formula. All right, ethyl linalool. The same way that ethyl vanillin relates to vanillin, in that it's a slightly lighter, sweeter, kind of like a candied version of vanilla ice cream version of normal vanilla. Ethyl linalool is just a bit lighter, sweeter, almost candied in an ice cream kind of way version of linalool. Next up, geranyl acetate. I have a real hard time distinguishing geranyl acetate, nerol acetate, and citronellal acetate. That is a puzzle my brain is trying to figure out. My nose brain is trying to figure that one out. I'm getting much better at citronellal and geranyl and nerol. Nerol is almost obvious. It's like got a super green, almost harshness to it. But the acetate version of those give me a run for my money. Next up, tetrahydrogeranyl. It's just a breath of this. I haven't done a side-by-side comparison of tetrahydrogeranyl with geranyl, or tetrahydrolinalool with linalool. Okay. We are also going to include the heliotropin, because there's not much. This powdery cherry floral. Yeah, powdery cherry floral. That's what I'd call this. Don't need much. So let's do our last two fruity materials. We have our Alpha Damascone. I almost use this exclusively at a 1% concentrate when I'm using it in these types of batches where I'm using pre-diluted materials. It's often used in trace amounts. It's floral, yes, however, it is more fruity than floral. Fruity as in plum, cherry, apple skin. That's what really comes through on the Damascones. Now Manzanate. Manzanate is a kick in the pants. I'm using this also at a 1% concentration. Rather than do 1 drop at a 10% concentration, I can do about 10 drops at a 1% concentration and just get the amount a little bit closer to target. This stuff is strong, and I don't think I've ever overdone it, but I have a 1% dilution pre-made, so why not use it? This stuff is strong, it kicks, it throws, it pops, however you want to describe it, and it smells like apple. It is brighter, not as dark as, say, the apple nature of Alpha Damascone. Alpha Damascone is darker. It's got a more of a plum vibe to that fruity smell. Whereas Manzanate is brighter, edgier. Oh, let me mix. Let me shake. Okay. All right, we'll put florals and fruits. Wonderful. Okay, next up, we are going to add our balsamic notes along with the jasmine-like florals. Well, jasmine, lily of the valley florals, what I call the white florals. We've got our benzyl acetate, but we also have a little hydroxycitronellal, some floral. We have our benzyl salicylate. We have our Amyris Wood. Probably should have included this with the woody materials. I'll make a note of that for the future. So let's start with our Amyris Wood. Amyris Wood is smooth. It's creamy. It's woody. Not dry woody like a sandalwood. Like a cedar wood, but more like a sandalwood, in that there's a creamy aspect to it. There's almost a lactonic aspect to it. Amyris Wood, Amyris Wood. If I remember correctly, almost all vetiver coming out of Haiti is adulterated with Amyris Wood. Something like 5% of vetiver oil is actually Amyris Wood. I'll have to double check that fact. Next up, benzyl salicylate. Using this at a 1% dilution. Again, rather than having one drop at a 10% dilution and perhaps getting it a little bit off, I can do 9 or 10 drops. In this case, 10. And get closer to target. Okay. Next, Isobornyl Acetate. This is a weird one. It's in almost trace amounts in this formula. It's interesting. It's balsamic. It's acetic. That acetate nature comes through. But it's a little bit like pine, a little camphor. It's a whole mix of stuff. But it goes well. It's just smelling them together. It mixes well with benzyl acetate, Amyris Wood. Did I say benzyl acetate? I meant benzyl salicylate, but it also mixes well with benzyl acetate, which is next. Benzyl acetate is a nice bridge between jasmine and the more balsamic notes. All right, and there's not much in here. Not much at all. Perfect. 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 Let's do our Florol hydroxycitronellal. Now Florol, definitely lily of the valley. It's light, it's transparent, it's floral in that lily of the valley way. Okay. Then we have just a trace amount of hydroxycitronellal. Also, lily of the valley, or Muguet, however you want to say it. Transparent, light, airy. Helps to open up the fragrance. Kind of spread the molecules apart, help each of them speak independently while working together. And last, don't know where to put this one. Yeah, we'll save this for the top. I was going to do pink pepper, but nah, let's not. Okay. We'll shake. Then we have 2 more groups to do. Let's dip. And this was the balsamic and our white florals. I call them white florals. I'm really just meaning lily of the valley and jasmine. Okay, next up, let's do our green notes. I'm wondering, yeah, let's do our green notes. We're going to start with Dynascone or Galbascone. There's a fair bit of Dynascone in here. If you don't have Dynascone, use Galbascone. If you don't have Galbascone, you can use neobutanone. They're all kind of the same molecule. This stuff is strong. It is strong. Dynascone or neobutanone is in Aventis. And the first batch I made doing an Aventis type, I overdid that molecule, and it was noticeable. It was very noticeable. Next one, cis-3 hexenyl salicylate. It's like your classic salicylate, except it has a cis-3 hexenol flavor. So you get in that green grass type vibe with the salicylates combined. It's wonderful. Last up, Triplal at 1%. Triplal is interesting. It is green in the sense of kind of a waxy, leafy, milky, sappy material. This can also be overdosed easily, so tread carefully. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now, I am at an interesting point here. Next up are the citrus notes. Now, interestingly, there's no animalic weird off note in this formula. Usually we have something like muscanone, cumin, birch tar. We just have something like aggressive and off in the formula that ties it all together, gives it a little bit of warmth. There's nothing in here that's like that. It's just, I find that interesting. But right now we have a lot of citrus materials. You've got grapefruit, lemon, lime, green mandarin, orange, and methyl pamplemousse. And I'm thinking I want to separate, I just want to smell, the contribution that each of these has in this, in the blend. So why don't we do this? Let's take our lemon and orange. We'll do those. Well, we'll do our pink pepper too. We'll just throw that in. We'll do our lime and our green mandarin together. And then we'll do our grapefruit and methyl pamplemousse together. And let's cut those citruses into 3. Oh, I didn't dip. I didn't dip the green. Did not dip the green. I was almost in trouble. Green. Okay. Number 6. Oh boy, that was close. That was close. Oh, and it's like fate is speaking to me. I've got 3 scent strips left and I've got 3 citrus groups. I think this is meant to be. So let us start with, we're going to do our pink pepper, our orange, and our lemon. Pink pepper is terpenic, but it is a top note. It gives us a sharp metallic top, but with a little bit more body, a little bit more beef than, say, just using limonene. Okay. Lemon. Sicilian lemon. Okay. almost time for new dilution. Oops. All right. Lemon is in. How about orange? Sweet orange. This orange is from Portugal. Okay. I like where this is headed. I like this idea. There's so many citruses in here. I could put them all together and just say, oh yeah, that's citrusy. Or I can break it out. Now with the lemon and orange, I'm just trying to get, limonene, some citral, some pinene. Let's see, lemon and orange. Number 7. Great. Oh yeah, we don't want to forget our pink pepper. Okay. Next up, let's do our lime and our green mandarin. Now we're going to get a fair bit of, I think, if I remember green mandarin correctly, well, even orange for that matter, the aldehydes in there. If you do a GCMS analysis, sometimes you'll see aldehydes in there, but they're not coming from a separate aldehyde C10, aldehyde C11. They're coming from the citrus oils. This is a cold-pressed lime from Tahiti. Distilled lime and pressed lime do smell different. I'll have to revisit my notes as to how I would describe the difference. But I do remember them smelling different, and they last a different amount on a scent strip. So next up we have green mandarin. Almost a half a gram. Almost, of green mandarin. And this is green. Not necessarily in the lime sense, but it's definitely brighter and greener. Oops, I overdid it. It's okay. Overdid it by about 10%, so I'm within wiggle room. It's okay. We're okay. All right. So let's write lime and green mandarin. 8 and dip. I'm starting to get little wafts from the juice, from the strips, and it's a very nice smell. And collectively, it smells very similar to what I remember Elysium smelling like. All right, final 2. Pink grapefruit and methyl pamplemousse. Fair bit of methyl pamplemousse, but we're going to start with our pink grapefruit. 2% of the concentrate is in pink grapefruit. Wonderful. Perfect pipette. Last, certainly not least, methyl pamplemousse. Over 4.5% of the concentrate is in methyl pamplemousse. It's a wonderful grapefruit note, maybe without that limonene, that sharp limonene, but it's got a warm sweetness to the grapefruit. If you're looking through patents, occasionally you'll see Amyris Wood. If you see Amorosite, it is Methyl Pamplemousse. All right. Grapefruit. 9. And this is our last. Did I shake? I don't think I shake. Okay. So friends, let's start testing these. First up, we had our base. Now remember, 65% of the formula is concentrated in Ambroxan, Helvetolide, Hedione, and Iso-E Super. This is the core right here. Almost like Sophia Grossman's Hug Me Accord. Just 4 materials take up, what was it, 80% of the formula. So this is not meant to be the heart of the fragrance. This is meant to be the support. It's warm. The Hedione is working great with the Iso-E Super. The Helvetolide is delicate. It contributes delicately to this. I'm not getting that metallic, warm push from the Helvetolide. And I need more practice with Ambroxan. I would have to remove the Ambroxan from this and smell it. And then, actually, I might do that. When I'm all done with this, I'll probably go back, smell the Accord, and then smell the Accord without Ambroxan, and then smell the Accord with Ambroxan, and then see where we go. So the next strip, we added all the musks. It was Cashmeran, which is a little metallic, pushes, and then we had Ambrettolide, as well as all the other wood materials. And remember, we added a lot of Vetiver. And the Vetiver is strong. It's Vetiver forward here. But again, it's working nice. It's playing nice with the musks. The musks are calming it down a little bit. Yeah, musks are calming it down. Next up, our aromatic notes. This included the Linalyl Acetate, the itty bitty amounts of thymol, and then we had Dihydromyrcenol. And the Dihydromyrcenol is very forward, but the Linalyl and Linalyl Acetate, the floral metallic nature of those is noticeable. And that combined with the Vetiver is very nice. Vetiver, Dihydromyrcenol, Linalyl Acetate. That's a good mix. It's a good mix. Next up, we added all of the red floral materials, and then our fruity materials like the Damascone Alpha and the Manzanate. Interesting. This is fruit forward. It has a delicate rose. It has hints of rose. Hints of a just generic floral smell. But the Manzanate is pushing. I'm definitely getting the Manzanate in here. That's interesting. Next up, we added the balsamic notes and then our white florals. So not only did we have benzyl salicylate, we had benzyl acetate. We had our isobornyl acetate, which was kind of a weird one, and the Amyris Wood with our Florol, and hydroxycitronellal. At this point, we have a nice fragrance. We have a very nice fragrance. It's smooth, it's creamy, it's a touch fruity, it's a touch floral. The Vetiver is noticeable. It's giving a dry grassiness, almost a greenness, a woody greenness to this. It's interesting how the Vetiver dominates here. And the Florol and hydroxycitronellal do exactly what we were hoping. It takes that upper edge of the formula, of the molecules, and just kind of spreads them out, lifts them up a little bit, adds some clarity so that each of them have their own voice, but you can hear all of them. Next up, we added our green notes, the Dynascone, Triplal, Cis-3 Hexenyl Salicylate. Very strong. Dynascone is strong. Dynascone is dominating here over the Triplal and Cis-3 Hexenyl Salicylate. It's still nice, but at this point you'd go, this is out of balance. I did too much green notes. So, but it contributes nicely. And now we have the final three. We have the addition of all of the citrus notes. So if we first started with our pink pepper, lemon, and orange, let's see how that contrasts or how that contributes. I'll tell you what, it's barely noticeable. Barely noticeable. Now lemon was only 1.3% of the concentrate. Orange is not even 0.5% of the concentrate. And pink pepper was 0.7% of the concentrate. So at these levels, this is enough to add just a little bit of shine to the top, but it's by no means bright. It's not throwing that citrus vibe. It's just adding a glimmer, a shimmer to the top, almost a reflection in the light. Next up, we added lime and green mandarin. Now the lime was another 1% of the concentrate. The green mandarin was 2.5%. So we added a fair bit here. I'm expecting more citrus, more limonene, and I'm expecting to get more aldehydes now. Okay, this is noticeable. It's noticeable. The limonene, that sharp citrus note is coming through much more strongly. And it's beautiful. What's beautiful underneath this is that you're still getting delicate florals. You're still getting a sweet, muskiness. And I'm still tracking the vetiver in my mind. The vetiver is still contributing a woody green grassiness, which is amazing. Now, last, we have all the grapefruit. We got pink grapefruit, which was 2% of the concentrate. We have methyl pamplemousse, which was 4.6% of the concentrate. So, you know, over 5% of the concentrate now is in these grapefruit materials. Very good. The methyl pamplemousse, I can smell this in another formula I did. I can smell that in my mind, that other formula, I can now pick out there's too much methyl pamplemousse. And I'm picking it out because of this. It is noticeable. What's odd is that the grapefruit, knowing that I've added grapefruit and I've added methyl pamplemousse, I can almost split the two in my mind. Because the grapefruit is giving me the citrus. It's giving me the brightness. The methyl pamplemousse is giving me the sweeter, creamier, smoother aspect of what I'm smelling. And oddly enough, there is something's going on in my nose with the addition of methyl pamplemousse that I'm recognizing, and I'm trying to categorize, or I'm trying to store it in my memory. Okay, this, my friends, this is good. This is good. I would say this is pretty close to, it's pretty close to Elysium. It's close enough for our purposes. Remember, you can never make the juice that you want to make. We can never make Sauvage, Bleu de Chanel, can never make Chanel No. 5. We don't have the actual formula, and we don't have access to the actual materials that they're using right off the production line or right off the property of that specific location in Grasse where they grow the jasmine flowers just for Firmenich or Givaudan or whatever. We can never make it, but we can get pretty darn close. And I would say this is close. Give it a try, whip it up. Get adventurous with these citruses, mix and match, swap them out. Maybe some of these red floral materials, like instead of citronellal acetate, try geranyl acetate. What would happen? What would happen if you use nerol acetate? I would like to go through here and just do some of those swaps and see how it changes the character of the fragrance. Whew. This is great. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.